Maybe it's not that much different than when you play a conference team every year. So when you're playing a team for the second time in 3 games, do you find yourself trying to do what worked the last time, or have to throw new stuff at them, or how do you balance that out?
I would say that you try to correct the mistakes from the last game and build on the positives, and then take into account that their coaches get a chance to draw new plays, and they're looking at it from the same angles that we are. My personal opinion is ultimately that here's the base of what you do on offense, defense, and special teams, and if you continue to get better at that, then in the long haul you'll have success. So we'll concentrate on what we do and playing to our strengths.
Defensively, has Mike's changed much from when he was at OU?
Some, not a lot, and again, it's speculation obviously, but they play things a little different based on what they may feel like their talent level is compared to any level of football. You should try to play to your strengths, as I mentioned, but also try not to put yourself in a situation that your guys can't perform based on the scheme. And so, in my opinion, his overall philosophy is the same. He would like to play aggressive. He's always going to get an extra guy in there on the run. You can be in no backs, 1 back, 2 back. He's going to fit an extra guy in on the backside, play the ball across, and try to cut it back to an unblocked player. And then he likes to play man on 3rd downs and zone pressure. So there are a lot of similarities of what they've done, but maybe not out of the box as much as when he was at Oklahoma.
You know him very well?
I know him just about like I know other coaches that, I have what I would think is a good relationship with him when I see him at conventions and when I was with him at the bowl game. And I have a lot of respect for him and that family and what they and how they coach football. But I don't really know anybody that well other than people here and at home. So.
Now that you've had a chance to see it on film, what do you think of the New Jersey combo?
I thought they looked pretty good. That's a little bit over my head, but whoever picked them out, I thought they did a nice job. I think our equipment staff matched up the white helmet with the white pants, and thought we were coordinated and looked good. It looks good when they're running down the field with the ball in their hands, and it doesn't look good if the other team's running down with the ball in their hands. So,
Mike, you've got so many talented receivers, just receivers coming out of the wazoo here. Does it almost make you jealous, if you weren't benefiting as a coach, make you jealous of Brandon Whedon having so many guys out there that are just so talented?
Well, since I'm here to enjoy it, no. But I am jealous that he's 6'3.5" and can throw it farther than I can. Because if I was that tall and could throw it like that, I probably wouldn't be standing here today. But we are very fortunate that we have a number of guys that are experienced and can make plays and that we trust. And it should be an advantage for us to just roll those guys in and play as fast as possible. And their concept, our concept, has to be, it could be Blackman or Tracy or Coop or Chelf or Hugh or Harrison. One guy may have 10 catches one week and only 2 the next. And they have to keep the team philosophy in mind and just realize that's the way it is. Blackman had, I think, 8 for 144 or something and no touchdowns. And he was okay with that. He could have had 12 for 200 and 2 touchdowns if we just really wanted to press an individual statistic. And so they understand that that's not our concept and that's not what we're all about. And they need to keep practicing and put themselves in a situation when the team does good, everybody's going to do good.
Whedon left his helmet on the sideline 2 years ago in that Colorado game on Thursday night.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, you never did anything like that.
I don't remember doing anything like that. Where did he go?
He went in the locker room and Rob Matthews told him he was going to start that second half.
Oh, so he left it out here to go into, yeah, it's pretty smart. No reason to carry it all the way in if you're not going to use it. Probably a pretty smart move on his part. That's the first time I ever heard of that, but I'm usually the last to hear about things that happen around here. It's like Harrison's eligibility last Friday. Everybody knew except me. And then when I found out, it was a nice surprise.
Weren't you missing your mouthpiece or something when Pat told you were going in against Houston?
Dave, I never used one in 4 years.
Maybe you didn't have your pants zipped up.
I didn't have pads.
Oh, that's right.
Right. I didn't have pads. I just was wearing. See, I was ahead of my time. I was actually modeling for Nike for 2011, and so I had pants with no pads and didn't have my shoulder pads hooked. But I never used a mouthpiece in 4 years. I never wore one, so I didn't have to worry about that. I was concerned about it getting germs and putting it back in my mouth.
Coach, at the Big 12 conference call today, I mentioned the coaches were saying that they had mentioned the possibility of the Big 12 realignment to their players. Have you talked to our players at all?
I haven't. I get very little information on that. Coach Holder will come by and give me updates if he feels like that he has something that's somewhat concrete and it's worth discussion. We haven't had any talks with our team because I think they understand, like me, I'm not sure that they can actually do anything about it one way or the other. And fortunately, they try not to concern themselves with things they can't control. And so if you told me something new happened today, I wouldn't know it until you told me. But I would hope that our league could somehow stay together and survive. I guess it doesn't look like that is going to happen, but or maybe somebody could come in, because I like the Big 12. I like this part of the country. I like the recruiting aspects of it, and I'm not afraid to say that. I like the rivalries that we have in this league, going north and south. I think it's good for college football. I think it's good for the geography of the television and everything that's involved. But no, we don't have any discussions about the future of the league.
Coach, do you feel like it's a distraction at all to the players about the conference realignment?
I really don't. My personal opinion is it could be a distraction for young men being recruited.
Sure.
And at some point, I would only hope, and I'm probably overstepping my boundaries here. I know Kevin just bites his cheek when I'm up here at the stand, but I would only hope that the gentlemen or ladies or whoever's making the decisions in this take into account the current team members in this league that are playing in the Big 12, that came to a school to play in the Big 12, and the ones that are being recruited that think they're going to play in the Big 12, and not just a way to make more money, and take into account the kids, because ultimately this is who we're supposed to be supporting. So for whatever that's worth, that's my opinion.
I guess if you're going to be playing Arizona this often, you might as well play them in the conference.
Might as well be playing. I mean, we may go 1-2. We may be playing them 4 or 5 years in a row now, I guess, is what you hear. So we'll be able to keep all the scouting reports and study up each year. So.
Colton Chuck got some snaps.
Hmm?
Talk about his progress.
I thought he played pretty well.
Clint Chuck.
I thought he played pretty well also. He was, 4-4 for 66 yards and a touch.
Yeah.
So he may want to quit now while he's ahead. But he's worked very hard. He's got a ways to go, but he has a good attitude. He's developed. He's improved considerably. And I'm much, much more comfortable with him now than I was. And so he needs to continue to get the work. And the difficult part of playing quarterback is you really don't get any experience until you go play, until you go make mistakes. It's just like the linemen that played in the game for us, the young kids, Castleman, and we didn't have to play any young offensive linemen, but until you get in there and you get ear-holed 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 times during the year, and you get cut, and then you realize there's a lot going on, you don't really understand. And so he'll have to go through some of that, very similar to what Brandon Whedon did, and Zach Robinson, and Mike Gundy, and everybody else that's played. So I like where he's at right now, and I like his attitude.
Coach, last year the freshman class played a lot, and you guys had so many freshmen that produced very well. Do you feel like this year's class, is there any way we see close to the production from the freshman class we saw last year?
My honest answer at this time would be no, because we have more depth above them.
Sure.
And so if you're a freshman and you're on the field and you're competing as a backup, then that means at some point during the season we think that you're going to be physically and mentally far enough along to help us from games 6 through 12, 13, whatever it may be. If you're a skill guy, you got a much better chance of that happening. So we're going to play some of those guys for that reason, because of special teams and where we need a backup. The other guys, they won't play. Ultimately, we should put all this to rest and have 5 years of eligibility. And what that would create is fewer injuries, because you would allow more guys to play a role in games, which would give some of the other veteran players a break, so they don't have to play as many snaps. And then you get into October and November and guys start getting injured because their bodies are fatigued. And that would be a really, really good thing for college football because of the number of plays and the contact that's involved in the game nowadays. But to answer your question, I don't know that we have freshmen that are going to be able to be as productive from a statistic standpoint just based on the overall depth that we have on our football team, not based on their talent. I'm not so sure, and I'll know more probably in 2 months. This may not be the best freshman class we've ever brought in here from top to bottom, and some of them may not even show up this year.